They said he was a superstar, but then they said he was finished. A player with everything: talent, fame, money, respect, slowly losing it all, not in one moment, but piece by piece, until the noise became louder than the truth. This is the story of Paul Pogba, a player who was once the future of football, a player who became the most criticized name in the game, and a man who had to fight battles far beyond the pitch, before the headlines, before the controversies, before the criticism. There was just a boy in France, dreaming, with nothing but a football and belief. Paul Pogba grew up in a modest family. His parents were immigrants. They worked hard, every single day, to give their children a better life. There was no luxury, no shortcuts, no guarantees, just sacrifice. And from a young age, Paul Pogba understood that. He wasn't quiet, he wasn't ordinary, he was different. Even as a child, he had presence, confidence, style. The way he played was expressive. He didn't just follow the game, he created it. But talent always comes with attention, and attention comes with pressure. At a young age, he joined Manchester United's academy. It was a huge step, a dream opportunity. But dreams don't always go as planned. He had the talent, but not the trust. He had the ability, but not the opportunity. And slowly, frustration started building. Imagine knowing you're capable, but not being given the chance to prove it. That feeling can break players. But Pogba didn't break. He made a decision. He left. A young player, walking away from one of the biggest clubs in the world. It was risky. It was bold. It was uncertain. But it changed everything. At Juventus, he found freedom. He found trust. He found himself. And what followed was magic. Power, skill, vision, creativity. He wasn't just good, he was dominant. He controlled games, he dictated tempo. He made football look effortless, and suddenly the world took notice. The same player who wasn't trusted was now one of the most exciting midfielders on the planet. Trophies came, performances improved. His name grew bigger, and then history happened. He returned to Manchester United, not as a prospect, but as a superstar, a record-breaking transfer. The expectations were massive, the pressure unreal. And at first, it looked like everything was perfect. But football is never that simple. Because when expectations are too high, even good is not enough. Every game became a test, every performance judged, every mistake magnified. And slowly, the narrative started changing, from world-class to inconsistent, from leader to problem, from star to disappointment. The same fans who once celebrated him started questioning him. Why isn't he performing? Why isn't he consistent? What's wrong with him? But what people didn't see was what was happening behind the scenes. Injuries, personal struggles, pressure from every direction, and the noise never stopped. Criticism from media fans, online voices. Everywhere he went, there was judgment. And over time, that noise starts to affect you. Because no matter how strong you are, and constant negativity breaks something inside. Pogba wasn't just fighting opponents anymore. He was fighting perception, and that's a battle. Many players lose, because once people decide who you are, it becomes almost impossible to change their minds. But Pogba kept trying. Moments of brilliance still came, glimpses of his true ability, flashes of greatness, but consistency never stayed long enough, and slowly, the narrative became stronger than the reality. He's finished, he's overrated, he's not the same player. Different words, same judgment. But here's the truth people forget. Players don't just lose form, they go through phases, they deal with injuries, they face personal battles, they are human. And Pogba was dealing with more than most. Off the pitch, things became even harder. family issues, controversies, personal challenges that no player should have to face. And suddenly, football wasn't the biggest problem anymore. Life was. Imagine carrying all of that and still being expected to perform at the highest level, week after week, game after game, with millions watching, waiting for you to fail. That pressure is unreal. And yet, he didn't walk away. He didn't quit. He kept going. Because deep down, he knew something. This wasn't the end. It couldn't be. Because players like Pogba don't just disappear, they come back, stronger, wiser, more focused. And that's where the real story begins. Not at the top, not during success, but during the fall. Because that's where character is built. That's where strength is tested. That's where legends are defined. And Pogba was still fighting. Not for fame, not for validation, but for himself. To prove that he wasn't done, that he still had something to give, that the story wasn't over. And maybe that's the part we need to understand. Because we live in a world that loves quick judgments. One bad season, and you're finished. One mistake, and you're labeled. But reality is never that simple. Behind every performance, there's a story. Behind every struggle, there's a reason. And behind every fall, there's a chance to rise again. Pogba's journey is not perfect. It's not clean. It's not easy to explain, but it's real. And maybe that's what makes it powerful. Because perfection isn't relatable. Struggle is. Failure is. Comebacks are. And his story is all of that. A mix of brilliance and pain. Success and criticism. Glory and doubt. But through all of it, one thing remained. His belief. Because no matter what people said, no matter how loud the noise became, he never fully lost himself. And that is what matters. Because in the end, football is not just about talent. It's about resilience. It's about how you respond. When everything goes wrong, it's about how you keep going. When the world expects you to stop. And Paul Pogba is still writing that story. Maybe not the way people expected. Maybe not the way headlines wanted, but in his own way. And maybe that's enough. Because not every story needs a perfect ending. Some stories are still being written. And sometimes the comeback is more powerful than the rise.